the phone call for 1 minute.
Okay, then I'll wait 1 minute.
Way too quiet. There she is.
I got you over here, Lindsay. Thank you. I got that clock a few minutes now.
Yeah.
Just don't like a lot of hangout time.
Yeah, I just texted her.
No, I'm.
They wanted to try to
Thank you. I don't want to spend a lot of time hanging out in the building, so trying to time it just right.
All right, everybody, it's approximately 9 o'clock. First order of business we'll do is, has everybody had a chance to read and review the minutes from the last meeting?
I just had one correction. I'm just looking for it. Under Monadnock Community Prevention and Violence and Prevention, second to last sentence, Teresa asked if Lindsay would make a friendly amendment. Teresa didn't ask me if I would make a friendly amendment. I asked Teresa if she would accept a friendly amendment.
Yeah, because I made the motion for $1,000 and you asked for a friendly amendment to make it $1,750.
Yeah, that was the only correction or change.
Oh, what you're saying is that you asked Teresa, not her asking you.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any objection to that correction?
No.
All in favor of accepting the minutes as amended?
We didn't make a motion quite
Oh,
yet.
I'll make-
Sorry about
I'm
that.
sorry, I thought you made that, I
I
apologize.
hopped in with the correction.
I'll make a motion to approve with the amendment.
A second.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, that's taken care of. Jim, if you'd like to take the podium, you're first at bat.
Good morning, Jim.
Morning, Jim.
Awesome.
Doing great.
So far, so good.
It's a beautiful, beautiful weather this morning, so great day.
Just to, changes I made to my budget this year. I did, the budget basically has stayed flat. I broke down a couple lines. If you look down here at the bottom, I created a legal line, put $500 into it. I just thought it gave the, ability for me to figure out what we're actually spending on legal every year. There are times town clerk does have to legal counsel. So I did create, create that line item to have a better idea of what the expenditures are on a yearly basis. The other line I'm going to create is under the elections department. To use the electronic balloting, like we pay for the programming of the memory card and that type of thing. And I just wanted, again, to give just an idea of what we're actually spending on that line item instead of just putting it into the elections line item.
Very good.
So that's just a couple of changes. The dollar amount has changed like very much. So if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer.
The select board was very pleased with Jim's budget. Even though he did have to add a couple lines, he was very good about adjusting his budget to still try to keep his bottom line relatively the same as last year.
Yep.
Your computer software and support number went down. Did the agreement change or what?
Some of those costs were startup costs for some of the things we brought online. The ability to we have, yes, if you will go to the website, we have an automobile estimator that people can use. All those, when you implement those programs, they do have startup costs.
Yep.
And
Does it typically stay pretty level, or, does it typically stay pretty level?
Because the services up and running. One thing we are having, and just to alert part of the public, is that right now our online payment section is down due to a problem at our vendor. So do you know if we heard anything from them? Okay. So you typically pay your water and sewer bills online. When you get your bills, you should be getting it. I believe you went out to yesterday or Thursday. You'll just have to either send a check or pay it at the window. So, but we're waiting for that. But that's the first time that's ever happened.
And there's nothing new coming up for the town clerk? No changes, no need for new computers?
No, we've done that. We've done all that in the last year or two. I mean, we have our standard things. I mean, if there are times we do have issues, we do make calls to the IT company. Those are just ongoing expenses.
Mm-hmm.
I don't expect that we'll need any new computers or anything like that.
I'll make a motion to approve the town clerk budget of $108,836.
Is there a second?
A second?
Any
Before we-
discussion?
Before we vote on it, I'd like to let people know that I do work with Jim. I'm an election official, so I do get some payment as being an election official, but I believe I can be unbiased when I'm voting on this budget. So if anybody has an issue, please voice it now to me, because I feel I can still vote.
No?
I think it's fine.
Yeah?
Where the money's come from. First page is the current year. Is the first page is the page that the fiscal year we just finished, and the second page is the previous fiscal year. So if you
I just want to make sure I have the most recent. Mine is dated 9/14. There's no change since then. Thank
That's
you.
what I have. Yep.
Yep. So Margaret, just one question on my end is, I see you had a significant increase in training. Do we have new associates or?
But it is a new building inspector. Obviously, he is qualified for the position, but we do want him to become certified. That is part of the job description. And we've tried for years to get a certified building inspector, and it's almost impossible for the money we pay.
Excuse me. That was my only comment.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. It passes.
Yep.
Which one?
The health office?
Yep.
Health, right?
There's a very minimal increase on supplies.
I'll accept the motion if one is offered.
I'll make a motion to accept the health officer budget of $5,975.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Quick question. There was a pretty significant decrease in supplies and not asked for again. And I can't remember if there was something specific that reason why it was up so high.
Yeah, it was 2 years ago, year and a half ago. Because there's some other places we were going into and we didn't have the proper protective equipment.
Gotcha. So that was just a one-time, and/or those supplies are still,
Yes.
okay,
I mean, it will happen again in the future, but that was a stop.
gotcha.
Perfect.
That's it then.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Might as well skip right over to the police department.
Yep, come on down.
Come on up, Mike.
Good morning, Mike.
Morning.
This is basically level.
Yeah, the overall budget on the police department was a slight decrease, actually.
Want to make a motion?
I have some questions about the cruiser.
What's that?
I have some questions about the police cruiser.
Okay, which one?
Well, that's a good question. I'm just looking at a couple of line items, and I'm remembering a warrant article from last year that failed. So I guess my first question is, do you plan on putting forward a new warrant article? Yes. Okay. Last year's actual cost was $30,000, which was twice the budget.
Yes, that's correct. That's our maintenance repair line. And we have sunk a lot of money into our cruiser fleet because it's old. We need to get on a regular, every 2 years or so before we can purchase a new cruiser. So last year we put at least $13,000 into the capital reserve fund. And asked for that again this year. We can do that each year. I can pre-plan and every 2 to 3 years purchase a cruiser with that money in the capital reserve fund that never been done in the past. So we do have plans to ask for another cruiser this year to replace the one we spent so much money on last year. That's where we're at. So there was never a plan in place where we could afford a methodical plan, a financially viable plan, but that is in the works now.
I know that takes a lot of effort, so thank you. How many cruisers do we currently have in rotation?
6.
And your plan is for one of those to be phased out if the warrant were to be approved for a new one?
Yes, that is correct.
And does that include the cruiser that was a donation from the town of Swansea?
That includes that cruiser, yes, 6 total cruisers.
Were you finally able to fill that police officer position you were searching?
Currently, that position is filled. We will start the police academy in January. And brings up, just to give a heads up, I'm not asking for any more money out of our training line, training certification. But with COVID, the academy has switched to a daytime academy, meaning recruits have to travel back and forth to Concord 5 days a week. I'm anticipating there's going to be some extra costs because of that. We shut down again anytime during that. It will be remote training, which would actually benefit us. It wouldn't cost us as much. My plan is now is to let them take an unmarked cruiser back and forth to Concord every day as a vehicle use. But just as a heads up to the budget committee, and had all 8 positions filled. I always say to myself, that's wonderful, enjoy it, because within a few months of that, typically, someone quits or goes somewhere else, or something happens. That's how it has traditionally been. Our 2 newest officers who have been here 2 years, have about another year and a half on their contracts, on their
Mike, I have no doubt that you allocate the funds that you're allowed appropriately. My concern is that we utilize that vacancy to balance out the budget versus planning appropriately for the staff and for the needs.
You know, there are changes, everybody here probably knows, I'm assuming about the governor's, the act report, all the modifications and changes that are coming. There will be more cost to the towns because the state is mandating officers to do a whole lot of things differently, and that'll be phased in over the next few years. So I don't anticipate it for this year with the training budget, but next year, when I sit here, we'll probably be asking for a lot more money, because we're mandated starting in some areas this year to train specifically on things. We're going to increase the training hours that we have. And as of now, there's no plan from the governor's office through police standards and training of how those things are going to be funded. So, as we all know, as our here did, as select board talking about, these mandates come from above us and trickle down, and it's up to the towns to pay for them. But as of now, I keep your point 100%. We're kind of playing Russian roulette.
Those are my only questions.
Any other questions? Anybody have any other questions or discussion?
The only change is I do want to bring up, if you look at the contracting services line, I've asked for 9,000. Since COVID started, we've always had, for the last few years, a cleaning company comes in twice a month. When COVID started, I had them coming in every week. So I would like to add $1,320 to that line. Meaning I want, instead of 9,000, I'd like to ask for 10,320.
And that would accommodate the weekly cleaning?
Yes, that's the difference that I would need.
And that would bring a new bottom line to 651,366. I'll make a motion to approve the 651,366 for the police department budget.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you,
Enjoy
Mike.
the rest of the beautiful day.
Have a good one.
Thank you, Mike.
If you would like, nobody else is here, but I know, like, for instance, the town beach,
Yep.
the select board voted on that Wednesday night, and we just voted to level fund it at the 33,851.
You want to make a motion?
Oh, I'm sorry, can I get eyes on it first? $33,851, it was level funded, right?
Yep.
I'm missing that one.
It should have been in a separate handout, because it wasn't in the budget book.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay.
What about the second page?
You might not have it, Lindsay.
I have last year, so if it was
Oh.
level funded with no change.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's necessary. Have you got it, or?
No, I don't
Oh, okay, I
have it
guess it
either.
is necessary, then I thought
Yeah.
maybe I just left it.
Lindsay has last year's.
I just have
so-
last year, so.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, it's a good thing we're ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
What's going on with the plans for handicap accessibility? I know that's not part of this budget, but maybe you could
Right,
just
we
speak to
do,
that.
we are gonna be putting forth a warrant article to put more money into that capital reserve. Unfortunately, there was, 16,000 in the capital reserve? 17? Yeah, and all the estimates that we got back were in the hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
So, it just, yeah, Yep,
She gets her time in December.
right.
Thank you. That's okay, thanks, Amy.
I've got mine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
That's not quite level funded, but practically, yeah.
No, we requested level funded. What you see, let me see. Yeah, what you see, the blank lines to the right is where you would fill in the requested.
Oh, okay.
And
Yep.
we just wanted to level fund the whole thing, so each line would just carry over the same
Gotcha.
amount.
Are they still doing swim lessons? I know they're 1 year, they did swim lessons.
1 year they did, they haven't.
This year they did not do lessons.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this year was,
Next year, in an
Definitely a
ideal
messed up year.
situation, might they?
I would say yes.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's included in the Town Beach personnel line?
yeah,
Okay, cool.
All right.
Make a motion to, you didn't make a motion, did you?
I didn't know.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the Town Beach at $33,851.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? It passes. I don't think who's coming for landfill?
Landfill, there's nobody coming for landfill. Landfill is only let's flip to it here. The only changes really in the landfill was obviously the contract price, and then there was a few things that were done away with and reduced because we don't have anybody working at the landfill, so we did away with we left $1 in the labor line just to keep it open.
Okay. Well, if you want to make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the landfill line at $316,116.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion?
Yes.
I'd like to find out, the contract, that's done every 3 years though, right?
Yeah, it's a 3-year contract with a 2-year extension.
Are we on the 2-year extension or are we on the 3-year contract right now? What year are we on the contract now?
I'm pretty sure we're still currently in the contract.
You what? Into the third year, we're going into the third year, but you're asking for more when you do a contract. We're asking for more money if we're on a contract.
The contract has a built-in escalator. Every year the price, it's a 3% escalator every year, so
Say it again, I can't.
there's a 3% escalator that was included in the contract, so every year the contract goes up 3%.
Do I automatically use that 3%?
That's what the contract with Monadnock Disposal goes up.
It's very similar to the bus contract that the school has, which is also a long-term contract that has a normal increase. It's usually built in for like fuel or other costs that go up that are out of the control of that particular company. Would that be accurate?
Yeah. We did try negotiating out that escalator, but we were unsuccessful with that.
So not this coming year, but the year after, you're gonna go on the extension or you're gonna, sit down and do a new contract with the company?
The intention is to renegotiate, but the year that we'd be negotiating that contract, I can't say exactly because that's the year I'd have to rerun again, so I can't guarantee that I would be on that board. But as of right now, the intention is to renegotiate.
Can you just give a brief summary of what's included in that contract? We don't pay, it's their personnel, how many dumpsters?
Yeah, it's all their employees. We have no employees out there. It's all their employees. I mean, there's all the recyclable removals, including the dumpsters, it's all in the contract. The regular household trash, them cleaning the grounds and keeping the grounds maintained is all on them. It is part of that contract. Really, the only thing that's not part of that contract is anything to do with the building, because the building is the town's. And I think the glass was removed, wasn't it?
Yeah, nobody's accepting glass.
All right, nobody's accepting glass. We ended up having to go through a different company for glass, just so it wasn't just piling up out there, because Monadnock's disposal could not get rid of it. And because they couldn't get rid of it, they can't take it.
Why isn't anybody accepting glass?
I don't know.
No idea.
I do remember
What
a few
did you
years
say?
ago when we originally negotiated this contract, I had a couple companies come in and talk to us, and all of them at that point said the same thing, that glass was the hardest thing to get rid of. That's why a lot of towns are now buying these crushers and they crush the glass into little balls and reuse it as fill material right, road fill and stuff like that.
Is that something that the select board would look at, or are you thinking about working that into your next contract?
We looked in the prices of it during the last negotiation, but because of the time frame, it just wasn't going to work. But we obviously right now where glass has gotten even more of a problem, then somebody's going to have to look at something. So, I mean, that would be a conversation we would have with Monadnock to see if there was anything they were willing to do, because as of right now, we don't own any of the equipment out there. So, that would definitely be something we'd have to negotiate or figure out.
Very good. Any other discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, it passes.
Amy's here. Sherry's here.
Just in time.
Come on up, Sherry.
One of the benefits of showing up early is you can get out earlier.
Oh, cemetery.
Good morning. Well, your budget went in the right direction.
No, I think you're looking at the wrong one if you're saying that, 'cause it went up.
Oh, this isn't the welfare?
Which one are we
Oh,
working
no.
on?
I was on the landfill,
Are
so.
we working on welfare first, or the other one?
Welfare.
Cemeteries, I meant not landfill, but, okay. Welfare first?
And it would be the budget that's dated 9/15/20. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would love one, Sherry. Thank you so much.
And that's just a report to you of where payments have been applied to. That's what people have been reported so far. That's from July.
July to date.
My expenditures are actually higher than that, but that's because it's other things like office expenses and the prepay on fuel.
Do you think that the community knows that this service is available to them, especially during this time?
I do.
Okay.
I do, yeah. The 211, we called them for help, they did it out. There's been a number of different notifications on Facebook, Southwestern, which they keep in
Anybody have any questions?
Is that what you wanted to say?
Yeah, that was good. No, this is good. That rent goes to the town, right? Where's the rent go?
Rent goes to the landlord.
The what?
Rent payments go to the landlord.
As long as the landlord doesn't owe any back water and sewer or taxes.
Yeah, it gets applied to anything before it works.
Right. And just so everybody's clear on what we're talking about is if a particular landlord, even if they owe $25 on a water bill, when the welfare pays the rent to that landlord, automatically the 25 is paid to the water department first to get them caught up before they get the rest of the money.
Does that assist the resident who is seeking the rent assistance?
It does, because the landlord has to apply it to what the tenant owes,
Right.
because it's been paid on their behalf. They're
And-
real good about it, they don't have problems with that.
And yeah, the landlords are made aware of all this beforehand.
So just to be clear, money off of the welfare budget could be used to offset a water bill.
If a tenant comes in for help with their rent and they qualify, then the welfare department pays their rent. However, if the landlord that the rent's being paid to owes any back water or sewer or anything, then the money is paid to the town first, so that we're not just handing landlords the full amount while they still owe the town.
And just so you know, we don't pay full rent, we pay a set dollar amount, that's it.
Right.
How many, on that the general welfare or the rent thing, that 27,000, it's 30 now, right? But how many people or families would you say that encompasses right now?
How many lines are there?
Pardon me?
How many lines are there on the assistance log?
16,
Overlap. So, if you
This-
count the lines,
there's 16 payments listed, so,
so I would say 13 of these payments. Only maybe 3 are overlaps of maybe they got assistance with their rent and with their electricity. So I'd say so far, the 8,000 has gone to approximately 13 families who benefited from that.
Is that,
Water
do you
qualifi-
anticipate any increase now with the,
I am.
huh?
I am.
So
I'm seeing-
unanticipated increases that people are gonna keep coming in or come in more now?
People are having a lot of problems, yes. I'm seeing an uptick now. It's already started.
And what is that uptake, like rent, if people are out of work or can't go to work?
I've had people just come in and ask if they could get a voucher for food, just to get them by until, a lot of these people have applied to other programs like Southwestern. They're expecting fuel assistance. Normally, fuel assistance would be given out before the December actual start date, but this year, with all the problems and changes and difficulties in making appointments and helping people, they're experiencing a delay in being able to do that. So I have people coming to me and asking me, just give me a little fuel to get by until my fuel assistance kicks in.
Is there any federal or state programs that are allotting specific monies for you to cover that added unanticipated cost?
Not to my knowledge.
There's a new COVID grant coming up.
Nothing that comes directly to the welfare department.
There wouldn't be any COVID related?
There may be COVID related, but that is all distributed through a regional
think that somebody from the administration, whether it's you or somebody else, should be looking in to try to get some anticipated monies, maybe if there are out there, some of the organizations or the state or federal can direct you to that, because I would want you to have money, extra money now, you know, for your actual expenditures, especially now, between now and the next, say, 3 or 4 months, that you would have access to if people get sick or can't pay their rent or can't pay their fuel bill. I would ask somebody to look into that or find out if there is specific monies that you can get or apply for.
But it is my understanding, through communications with Southwestern and the state, they send out notifications to the local welfare. And they have indicated that the COVID money, the CARES Act money, is distributed by a county organization. And in our case, it is Southwestern, that is for the entire county. But I can look into it some more.
I would contact Southwestern. I want you to be able to give money to people that need it, especially in the next few months.
I have not turned down anyone who is eligible
Okay.
for the aid.
What are eligibility requirements?
We have a worksheet where we take all of their income and expenditures, and only certain categories qualify for expenditures, things like cable and internet, even though internet at this point is pretty much needed if you have children in school. We count their rent, fuel, electricity, food, and subtract those items from their income to a positive. They don't get assistance. If they're in the negative, they do. It's pretty straightforward.
Just a general question, is there a lot of elderly people coming to ask for assistance, or do you have any feelers out there that elderly people need more assistance and not coming to you?
Not at this time, and I have tried to spread the word to the elderly because they're very proud and they're the ones who need it the most.
Yep.
And won't come and ask. So we're trying to get that word out there.
Okay.
I have a little bit of a concern that we're raising and appropriating money in the health line that is then being utilized to offset bills due for the water and sewer. So in essence, the taxpayers who are paying their taxes are now paying for a landlord that's not paying their water and sewer. And I understand that the purpose is to ensure that you're not giving the landlord the money that they might owe the town. But perhaps that's a process that you want to look at the select board level, where if the rent allocation, I see Amy, so perhaps she has a comment.
A few years ago, it wasn't set up this way. Maybe, I want to say 8 to 10 years ago, when Joyce was downstairs, they never had the system set up. It was all sent to the landlord. Our auditors are the ones who picked up on it. That's money that's due to the town, regardless of the town. So if you're the landlord and we're going to give you $400 for rent, but you owe the town money, we have the rights to take that money from that $400 rent. That $400 rent can be credited to the town for payment, but we're holding the money that's owed to the town.
I still don't understand how that's not raising and appropriating on this line to pay off another budget.
Well, because we don't know. Nobody owes water, sewer, taxes. If no landlord owes, then it's all going to go to there.
Why wouldn't the policy be if the rent assistance is $400 and the landlord owes $300, then you give $100 and the $300 continues to be a burden that the landlord bears? Right now, we're absolving the landlord of that responsibility and paying it out of our own budget. Or are you telling me that after we balance that water bill, we still go after the landlord for the money that they owe.
So if he's getting $400 as a landlord on behalf of the tenant, but he owes the town $200, the town's only taking what's owed, the $200, then the landlord will get the additional $200.
Right, so we took care of the responsibility for the landlord not owing the money anymore.
He's not owing money to the town anymore. It's our obligation, and we have the right to take the money that's owed to the town for providing it to the landlord in full. Because if you send it to the landlord in full, he didn't pay this bill in the beginning, chances are he's going to turn around and pay it after he receives it.
But to be clear, the tenant would receive credit for the $400 in rent.
Right.
And what's binding that?
There's a form that we sent down, because we get the form from Sherry, who first goes to the town first. She goes to see what's the tax form, to see what's owed. Then the form will come up to us, and we break it down. If they owe nothing, we send the whole amount to the tenant. If they owe water, sewer, or taxes, we take that part out, and then we send the rest to the landlord. When we send a payment with the landlord, or the whole thing is cut, a notification goes from the tax collector to the landlord, letting them know, Joe Simone rent got like $400, but because we owe it to, it's an RSA actually, on the form that's sent over.
So one last question on that point is, like Jim had earlier said that water bills went out 2 days ago. So are we talking a 2-day-old bill, or are we talking somebody that's past due that we would take the money on? Okay, so if a person's just current and they just received a bill, we're not talking.
Right.
This is talking like months or years back.
Fair enough.
So the credit goes to the renter. The landlord's obligation to the town is resolved, and then they just don't turn around and pay their mortgage in full. We're still paying to absolve to ourselves. We're basically robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Well, we can't control what a landlord does with their money. Obviously, otherwise they wouldn't owe back water, sewer, or taxes.
I understand that, and I think that...
And there's no qualification process for a landlord. The tenant qualifies, the person coming in is the one that qualifies for welfare to pay a portion of their rent. So we are obligated to pay that amount, that amount. And we can't, and I get where your frustration is, I do. But we can't, if they qualify for 400 and they owe 300, the landlord owes 300, we can't just send a check for 100 and tell the landlord, well, you still owe the other 3, because now we've really only paid 100 of that person's rent, and the landlord could probably still put the person through eviction, and it's not going to hold up in court because we only 100 of the 400 they should have received was actually paid. This way here, the full 400 is paid, and we're just making sure we're assisting the landlord with making sure he's paying his obligations to the town.
We can't pay the renter directly.
I understand that we can't pay the renter, that we have to pay the landlord directly. I understand that, I absolutely understand that the money is most likely needed by that person to ensure that their rent is paid. I'm just concerned that we're raising and appropriating over here on the health budget, and we're paying it off on another budget. And that's not very transparent.
Well, by RSA, that's as transparent as it can be. I mean, it's no different than writing the landlord a check for 400 and he turns around and gives 300 of it back to the town to pay off his bill. It's the same thing. What the landlord does with his money.
Except he might not.
He might not, and then he's going to continue to owe money, and
That we're going to continue to recover on the welfare line?
no.
All right.
Payments are not going back to offset another project. It's going towards the payment, it goes into a revenue account. It's revenue that we receive. It's not taking from welfare and paying financial. It's taking from welfare and paying the revenue of an outstanding debt that's owed to the town.
And that outstanding debt is being paid by every taxpayer because we raised and appropriated and allocated to this line.
It's either pay us for the payment of code, or you're just gonna give the whole 400 to the landlord and they not turn around and pay the bill. Either way, you're paying that $400, no matter if it goes to the landlord, or if it goes to the town. No matter what, that's coming out of this budget.
And as long as the person who's benefiting from the $400 is actually being credited against his rent, I understand what you're saying completely. Now, if the landlord does contest, because you had said that it may not hold up in court, is that what you were saying?
Well, if a landlord brought a tenant for, if a landlord brought a tenant for eviction, and the tenant brought him paperwork from the town that said, well, I qualified for $400 towards my rent, however, the town only paid $100, in using the theory that Lindsay spoke of, then it wouldn't hold up in court. I mean, it would only be a $100 payment. Right. Well, the way we do it, the tenant would have documentation that $400 of their rent was paid. Using the way Lindsay was explaining it, they wouldn't, because only $100 would be being paid.
No, actually, what I was trying to explain was if the $400 was the amount that the tenant would be entitled to, that full $400 be credited towards their rent, and that the ongoing bill that the landlord should be paying continues to be their burden to pay.
So I guess I have one question. Is this germane to our purpose today? I understand what you're saying, but I don't think we're in any position to change it. So I'm wondering if we're just spinning our wheels at this point.
Amy, would you just forward me the RSAs that, I would just like to review them further. And you're right, Chester, it's probably nothing that the budget committee could do, but it is
It's
certainly...
good that you brought it up, and this is certainly a discussion that's worth having, because I kind of agree with you on most of this.
I want to make sure that whoever is in need is getting that full amount of money, and we're not offsetting some other budget with money from this health line.
No, I agree with you, actually.
I know. Yeah, I get that. I get that part of it. It's the offsetting part.
All right, so is there any new discussion? All right, I'll accept a motion if one is offered.
I'll make a motion to approve the welfare budget of $62,059.
A second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it passes. Okay, cemetery. And this is the one dated 9/15
Yes.
for $69,759?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the bottom line, cemetery budget of $69,759.
Second?
Any discussion?
Yeah, I'm gonna ask, you have almost $1,300 in the line item for security cameras.
That is a line item that includes internet, phone, and moving to Comcast from Consolidated, which is more expensive than what we had, so that we have power to run the security cameras.
Okay, how much did you pay for the security cameras? Is that a monthly thing due, or is it one time?
It's combined into our monthly internet and phone, and it's not a separate amount, it's just an explanation as to why the internet and phone went up.
Because of the security camera, the
Because
security assets.
We couldn't run security cameras on what we had with Consolidated. It was forever looking out,
Yeah.
timing out, it wouldn't run the security.
DSL just doesn't have a lot of bandwidth.
No, not at all.
No, that makes sense.
So that security system goes to somebody who works for the cemetery, the computer, you can access it at any time?
The security cameras, there'll be 4 security cameras, and there will be a monitor and a recorder that records all the activity that it picks up. If, when we're not there, there is unusual activity and it indicates someone might be breaking in, it will go, an alarm will go to my phone to alert me so that I can make the necessary actions.
Perfect.
And the security system itself is donated.
Okay. Is the only other question I have is your seasonal health line item. It's going up?
One person got a raise. They've been there over a year and they got a raise.
Okay. Wait a minute. So that person got almost $800 raise?
They got 4%, a total of 4%. 1% across the board for the town and 3% merit raise, for a total of 4.
Well, it's not a merit raise if it's gonna be built in there. A merit raise would just be for that year, right? Or you're saying that it's gonna be now, like,
They got a raise. Going forward, that is their new rate of pay.
All right, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye?
aye,
All opposed? All right, it passes. Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sherry.
Who we got next?
Their library's here.
That's who those are?
Yep.
All right, if the representatives from Thayer Library would like to come up.
The Fair Library. Let me see what we got here.
How you guys doing today?
34,900.
49,150, I thought.
Oh, no, you guys got the wrong paper.
Oh, we have the wrong paper.
Amy, they don't have the updated Fair Library in their books?
Oh, you brought it? Okay.
No, 34.9. The date is 10/21. Yeah.
So, what is the?
Let me
This isn't.
let me look at.
This is what you just handed us.
Oh, yeah, I didn't get. Oh, I probably still have it from before. Wait a minute, is this even a? Oh wait, no, that's. Now, why is, okay. Amy, the newest Fair Library you have, is that the one dated 10/21 for 34.9? Okay, the rest of the budget committee doesn't seem to have that. Can you, it might be in the box, I'm not sure. Because then I do have,
Completely forgot we even had a box.
Amanda, that first page you handed out,
34.9 right here. So, and she handed us a budget request form, so that's sufficient to the task.
yeah,
So, we use reports to show, our current budget and then the proposed budget, and then the variances, that were anymore. Sorry, I said check the mailbox.
What's that?
I thought you checked the mailbox.
I actually completely forgot we had a mailbox.
Thank you.
Updates for everyone. Yay. It's like Christmas. Um, Okay, I didn't get a copy of that, so, no. No, when you just handed them out, I got skipped. Okay, thank you. There's a whole update packet there that was in the mailbox.
Yeah. I'd completely forgotten we had a mailbox.
I didn't know we had a mailbox.
Yeah.
Hi there, I'm Melissa Kastner. The library hired me about a month ago to be their bookkeeper. And so what happened was when I came in and evaluated the books, we looked at the budget that the Sarah board had approved for next year, and I realized it wasn't very accurate considering their costs. They weren't taking into consideration some of their other income. And so what Amanda handed out is a document that includes a revised budget that was presented to the Sarah board on Tuesday, and they approved it. And if you look at that, you'll see that they're actually asking for a little bit less from the town, because now they're considering other sources of income, and we adjusted expenses to be more accurate, and they're doing that.
Oh, it looks to me like they're looking for a little bit more. It says 37,000.
The budget itself has increased, but if you look at page 1 under income,
Well, it says,
you'll see that we have the town income proposed or expected is only 293.
On the budget request form here, I guess I need to read it right. It says for one example, under, utilities, it says that you budgeted $1,000. You actually used 2,400 in change, and you're requesting 1,200. Why would you do that if you utilize $2,400 for electricity?
I think, and Amanda can correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember correctly, I think what that was because they were unsure exactly to begin with on how to separate the rental from the library. So for a while, until they corrected the problem, the library budget was paying the electric bill, and that's why the budget line, the actual, is so high. But that actually, they should have, I don't see it in a revenue form here, but from the revenues from the rental,
But
actually
the
offsets what they overspent in this budget.
Well, the rentals would go in the revenue side though, right?
Right, but the rental is from the rental money is paid part of the electric bill. So the extra $1,400 paid in electric is made up for in the revenue.
But they're indicating if you add up this stuff, it doesn't break it down, so the rental income, which would be revenues, is
Right.
$5,000.
Right, there's no revenue sheet here, so it's hard to,
The revenue is included in, where it's
yeah, on this other page,
What page are you looking
with
at?
this other handout that she just handed out,
This one.
that shows income and expenses.
What page are you looking at, Ben?
This. Something she just handed out.
just to help explain,
Yeah,
Wait a minute.
I think it was that one you just had in your hand, Teresa.
It was what? This is, It says rental income is $5,000. So where does it break down the rental as opposed to the library expenses?
So, a little further down on that first page where the expenses start, we have the apartment utilities, we have the electrical for the apartment at 500 and the water and sewer for 300. Those are direct costs of the apartment. And then there's on the library, water, sewer, electrical, and propane, by itself.
So is the total requested the 34,900?
That's the
Or is
total,
it the,
that's the total requested that the select board had approved.
gotcha. And so this updated, proposed revised budget shows a total of 37,000.
And the library will cover the difference from that other source.
Gotcha. So the request is, I'm sorry to interrupt. So the request is still the 34,900. Okay.
Oh,
You've just gotten even more detailed with the bookkeeping. Thank you.
All right, and does anybody have any questions?
What are the other sources of income?
The rental income from the apartment, which will be donated back to the library, whatever is left after paying the expenses directly associated with the apartment. And the direct public support, it was like historically every year has been a steady amount of at least $500. So, I mean, those are the main two. And then they have some of their funds are invested and there's some investment income, depending on what the market does, but historically there has been investment income.
On the office and computer supplies, you were budgeted 1,200, you actually used 928. Now your budget is $2,700. You only utilized from what this document says here is $928.87.
What's the reason for the increase in the office and computers?
They're slow. Like the current laptop that we use for bookkeeping is probably like 5 or 6 years old. And then the Chromebook itself doesn't hold anywhere near the software that we need to do auditing. Like it just doesn't have the.
So you want to buy a couple new computers?
Right now, she's using her laptop, which is why that's helped.
Yeah.
I was here for the discussion with the select board when the library first presented their first budget, and they had estimated additional needs in their building maintenance, I believe, and they were advised that as a town building, that shouldn't be in this library budget.
Right, you're correct. Is it back in here again?
No.
Okay.
But I'm wondering where in the town budget it went, because they acknowledged a need of like, I think it was about $10,000 that they had put in that line for things that needed to be done to the building.
Well, they had put in that they wanted to repaint the building next year and a few things like that. And being a town-owned building, we advised them that they don't need the budget for that in their budget because it's a town-owned building. And we have our town-owned building capital reserve fund that money, if the building needed to be painted, then that's where the money would have to come from.
The only thing I do recommend, and we put in this issue last year, is that for a week and a half meeting, that the library was running on, probably not code correctly, but space heaters, because there was no heat in the building and we didn't want the pipes to freeze. So in that instance, we were expecting a meeting that was tomorrow, no one could that ever happen again? And that was a week
Yeah, and what we had requested then, because we just paid to have a brand new heating system put in that building. So it sounded more like we needed to get a heating technician out there to look at it and see what the problem was. Not, rather than buying space heaters and running up the electric bill.
Because the system itself was broken, they had to come in and look and then Jack was other things, I think we should just switch it out. But then it was sent by Gary to state that system. So I didn't see a problem in the future, but should it happen, we don't want to be stuck because we're now landlords. Make sure the parent has appropriate heating. And then some inappropriate time frame.
Correct.
That instance as well.
Yeah, a few years
So I
ago.
don't want to completely cut that part out, just for that reason.
Well, it's still, at the same time, it's still a town.
Put 10,000 there or 9,000.
Well, the town still owns the building, so the library has no financial responsibility to the building. So to put money into the library line to pay for a building that the library doesn't,
Here, you the library, some of that whole area, I came in, showed you the problem. You made calls. This problem was not immediately fixed in a day. So,
Correct. Unfortunately, we get a service guy out there ASAP.
and the part was MVP stuff, even,
Right.
it had to shit.
well, that was with the old system, wasn't it?
No, that was a
New system?
This incident just happened in February
Right,
of this year.
yeah.
And is any of this reflected in this? If not, let's stay on focus.
Well, she's basically asking to put money back into the maintenance line.
Not a huge amount, whatever you think is
But if
appropriate,
we
but
put in money into that account, it's not gonna help the situation of trying to get a service person there or getting the part, that's not gonna.
well, the service person, it pays whatever they are, whatever hours time.
Well, we pay that already.
We'll be paying all of that.
We already pay that. The town does.
So if something similar to that instance happened again, you would approach the town and request assistance financially.
Right, you would immediately contact Carrie, the town administrator, and she would make the appropriate phone calls and get people out there. I mean, budgeting money into your budget for that isn't gonna speed up the process at all.
So is the select board planning on adding money into the town-owned building capital reserve? Because the library has identified that there was potential needs of the building. You've advised them that it's a town-owned building. So
Correct.
is that money going to be offset into a capital reserve or another line within the town budget?
We haven't completed discussing our capital reserve warrant articles yet.
I'll have that question again.
I know you will. I know you will. Mental note made. Yes, Amy.
The $1,000 for travelers, versus life insurance. Okay, just so you're aware, and just, you know, I've been trying to hold on to this, communication, and I was here for the last 2 days. But, through our insurance, the one library and their library, the building insured and the content insured. Your workers' comp and your unemployment is also endorsed in the town and, well, reached out to you, I think, for, the figures on the salary for the librarian. No, it's just you self-clarification, the purpose of system. Okay. So we need those figures, so we can add them onto ours, and then on a quarterly basis, when we do our reporting, she's just gonna have to send the figures over to us. So it's all gonna be covered. Just tell me that I would bring you, the she's still doing her quarterly report, but she doesn't pay you. The unemployment and the, workers' comp comes from us. So we just need to know her figures on salary. Okay, but you wouldn't need to cancel your salary. Okay. All right.
So Amy, are you saying that the budget can be reduced by that 1,000?
I think I can.
I got just a couple, a quick, you have a
I got a pencil. All set?
librarian salary, and your actual is 10,000, and you're budgeted for 9. You're requesting 15,000, and it says on the notes here, allowing for possible expansion of hours due to the coronavirus. I'd like to ask, I mean, if the library closes, you're basically saying that you're gonna ask for another almost $6,000 because the librarian's gonna have to do more work?
So, on that, it looks different from last year because we had kept Karen up on 3 reviews that were owed to her. So then we did that and then the minimum wage actually. So then after that was corrected, the total happened. And then we decided as a board, which I have those minutes, that we were gonna continue having Karen work and, continue having Karen work, during that time, but she wouldn't be open to patrons. There was plenty of work for her to do in the library as far as, projects for the librarian itself. There's still like, on a level like cataloging responses, just a lot of software with the Companion and Alexandria in that current. So there is still things during that time for her to do, and I believe that's how the Covenant Library is running as well.
Yeah, you're still providing the service to the community. You're just not open in the building. So you're doing curbside.
We're not doing face-to-face contact, but we're open to curbside and, that kind of thing. And then if we have to scale back, she'll still be working. She'll still be doing things, just not with patrons coming in.
So, how I look at it this way is like, you know,
Her salary was budgeted the year before.
Yeah.
Right? So it was, we just thought it was best to keep things going as a library.
she getting a higher hourly rate, or she just gonna do the same hourly rate and just do more hours? You're trying
The
to,
library is only open, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 1 to 7. And Saturday is, 9 to 1. So those are the only, so that's how she'll still be paid.
okay. But you're actually budgeted right now for 27,400, and you're requesting 34,900. So you're asking for an increase in your budget, not a decrease. That's how I look at it right now.
Right.
And we don't have breakdowns of, and probably next year we will, now that you have, you know, a bookkeeper that's, you know, or somebody that's trying to do that, is we'll have a breakdown of the rental incomes that come in as, that go to what the library takes in and what other rentals take in.
Right. No, I mean, unfortunately, with this particular budget, there's been, over the course of a year or so, there's been a lot of turnover in members. So bookkeeping has been, for lack of better terms, an absolute nightmare. And we've been working hard on trying to assist them with getting things straightened out and figured out. But I'm definitely glad to see that they've hired a bookkeeper to
I had a bookkeeper, and unfortunately with the COVID, what happened was her scheduling and our scheduling weren't meeting. And then I just happened to be at a soccer game, and that Melissa side by side next to her car, and her store was her mom. And then I went home, and I had the audit, and then she was able to catch everything else too.
Yeah.
The team asked for, and so, and then going forward, I won't be stuck, even if the computer crashes, I have a flash drive where I can just come to the town and say, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, is there any further discussion? Is there a motion?
Oh, Amy's got a question, I think.
make it noted in third line, when I said that the contents were also included, the contents of the library, not the apartment. So your tenant should look at the records store, should already.
We need that, there before everything,
I just wanted to make sure when I said the building apartment, content, I want to make sure the apartment is excluded from the content.
but we'll have you do that in the morning, reminder. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the library budget at 33,900. That takes out the 1,000 for the insurance that's now going to be going through the town.
All right, is there a second? Any
I'm
further-
I support the library, but I just have a couple of issues, obviously, what I asked questions about already with the librarian, and I don't think the extended hours for the librarian is gonna warrant it, almost $6,000 more in that line item. I'm just saying that out loud.
All right.
Yep.
Any further discussion? So a motion to pay, to approve 33,900. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No,
Passes 4-1. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, we'll actually ask,
well,
yeah.
well,
All right, at this time, we're going to take a 5-minute break.
okay. You're not recording right now, are you?
Hi, Dennis.
I gotta talk to you about petition articles that I wanna put on the, on the ballot.
Just so you're aware,
I'm asking certain people to cook that.
Turn over people and library stuff.
If you look at the budget, money found, if you do, I'm asking for this. Because what was approved on Wednesday.
Yep.
Pat, how much time do you need for your setup? Nat, how much time do you need for your setup? Oh, we'll get started again once she's ready.
You can start. It's still going.
Oh, it's still going. Okay, then we can keep going then.
Okay, I got all kinds of stuff here now.
Unlike some, I don't mind it being recorded. Okay, actually, it's Jack that doesn't like it.
Town clerk.
All right, next up is fire department. And we're back in business. Good morning. Is there an update?
No, I don't believe there is. Oh, no, I've got a 10-8. For are you on fire or forest fire?
Fire.
Fire?
I got 10-8. $100 increase year over year. I mean, that's what it looks like.
No,
No.
where are we, at fire?
Yeah, fire.
Well, $91
Yeah,
increase.
90. Yeah.
I have, the bottom line was 160, 290.
161,490.
Yeah, I think there's an update in there. I apologize, I originally said no update, but I forgot that there was.
And this is the 10-8 update. I'll just take a motion if you want to give it. This is pretty much level.
Boom, boom, boom.
You got it, Teresa?
Yeah, hang on 1 second if you would.
Cold now?
As soon as my wood stove kicks on, I'm pretty much cold anywhere there's not a wood stove.
So the fire department's here. They could start a fire, right? I'll take a motion if there's one offered.
I was gonna give Teresa time to read through.
You guys are killing me here.
How many firefighters do we have on staff under the payroll? And they get paid per call, correct?
What do they get paid per call?
Well, it's per hour, per call.
With my position is 15, 65, and decreases down to the regular firemen get, well, it's all about 50 per hour.
Thank you.
I make a motion to approve the fire department budget at $161,490.
Is there a second?
Second.
I'm going to, during comment, I'm gonna do the same thing Teresa did with the previous budget. I feel confident I can unbiasedly vote on this, but I do get payroll through this budget, so it's up to the board whether they'd like me to vote on it or not.
I have no objections. All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, it passes.
Then we can do the forest fire.
Ambulance next.
Well, forest fire is the very next page if you wanna. Oh yeah, we already did forest fire, never mind.
Never mind is recognized.
Ambulance.
And are we still looking at the 914? 20?
914 is what I got.
914 is what I have. And that's 118,921. So this is a decrease. So I'll take a motion if you want to give one. I'll accept the motion if one is offered.
I'll make a motion to approve the ambulance budget of $118,921.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion?
I have a question about the payroll and how many employees that is.
Actually, just hired one new member, because we actually have a couple members we lost a couple members, we have a member going out on maternity leave. So we're trying to stay at that 15 or 16 number. So that payroll actually is with the part-time Monday through Friday, and then the next weekends on call. They get stipend for being on call, and it's per call they go on.
And then just one question I've got, you've got a line for vaccine, what is, I mean, I know it's at $1, but what was that?
I assume it was for the flu vaccine. Same thing we did with the Pfizer product.
I think that's that line's just held $1 in it to keep it open for many, many years. So if something came up like a COVID vaccine, there's a line item there to use
Yeah, well, that was what I was thinking, is it something we should explore putting something into?
Well, that's another one of those loaded questions. We don't know, A, if there is a vaccine yet, and B, how much it's gonna cost. So to just put money, I wouldn't even dare guess a figure to put into it.
All right, well, I'll withdraw the question.
So there are 15 to 16 employees. That includes the part-time Monday through Friday and a stipend for nights and weekends. Last year there was, and I apologize if I used the term wrong, there was an ambulance captain, but that position is no longer needed, or?
We haven't filled that position. Basically, I'm taking over that role as well. So we have 2 lieutenants right now. No captain position.
Is that a position that you're looking to hire?
Well, if and when the position was filled, we wouldn't be hiring somebody new to fill that. Somebody would just get promoted up. That's already there.
And is that included in the requested salary? Like there's room for that person to be promoted and or for that hire to happen within the 55,000 payroll?
Correct.
Okay. Was a motion made? I don't remember.
Yeah.
There was no motion?
No, I made a motion and Tiffany seconded.
Okay. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, it passes. All right, and ambulance. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry.
Thanks, Barry.
Thank you, Barry.
Okay. Well, I guess we can do Conant Library. Do they have a representative coming?
Yeah, Dennis is here for Conant Library.
Dennis, come on down. You're next on The Price is Right.
Is that still on? Is Carrie
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
on The Price is Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Drew Carey's doing it.
Dang.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I got real good at betting
It
$1.
was definitely a lot better with Bob Barker than it is with Drew Carey. I will make that statement.
Drew Carey's fine.
It's all what you're comfortable with, right? It's like
I
when
will
they
stick
change
with Bob Barker.
Can't wait to hear what you think about the next guy in Jeopardy.
I don't know, Alex Trebek's got some pretty big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
The newest one that you just handed out, right?
Oh, I missed that. Oh, there we go.
Right. Yeah, the paperwork that Dennis just handed us does not reflect anything in our book.
Okay. So the request is 84,852.
Yeah, I
Right.
see one.
Oh, it's 86,8, okay.
I'm seeing 118,354.
No,
Well,
that's,
the
Oh, no, I'm
total
sorry, that's the
expenses.
total, excuse me.
on the
Yeah,
left.
yeah, I see it now, 84,852.
What's that, Amy?
The last page that you have is 93. It shows 92,453, but the board approved on 118,88,575.
88,000, how much?
575,
Thank you.
Yeah.
and I call this,
Oh, that's fine.
That's what the select board approved.
That's what the select board approved, because at the previous meeting, unfortunately, as I explained to Lindsay, I didn't explain to everybody, unfortunately with this library, there's been a lot of turnover with personnel also, and right in the middle of budget season, Dennis was gracious enough to take over. I'll be polite and call it that. And his original proposal he came up with was the number that we approved, the 88,575. And after more review since then, Dennis has found that the 86,857 that's now requested is sufficient. And this was voted on by the board?
No, that's not, we haven't met yet.
Okay, so they haven't seen this?
I got the copy of the library. So no one's seen this, you guys have. But everything is funded, that was, if you look at the numbers, the heat oils in there originally was, 5,500. And so, there's a difference, it was actually included in the totals for whatever reason, it was done by hand, not by Excel. And if you take the 18,300 minus the 17,800, you get $500.
Right.
So the oil was already in there. And all I did was took out the town portion of the health insurance, and I over to Edith Atkins for 11,0.
Okay, so at the end of the day, what are you asking for?
86,857,
Okay.
which is basically about 2.3% over last year. Now, I found is I was using whole numbers,
Uh-huh.
I was rounding up a little bit generously maybe.
Quite generously.
Well, it's the way I did in Portland, and I had to do a budget thousands of years ago. There was actually, I found 3436. I took 1718 off the town, and I took 1718 off the Edith Atkins request. Originally, that was for 20,000. Now, if you wanted to put the other 1718 back into Edith Atkins, make that 20,000, and decrease that 86,857, that's up to the board. One of the things that Jack Marsh brought up at that meeting, correct me if I'm wrong, is that people started to worry that we started to go into the principle of the Edith Atkins request.
Right.
And right now, with a little bit of a safety margin in there, given the current trends, but that can change. That's
What Selectman Marsh had brought up last time is that in the last few years, the amount of money that's been being used out of the Edith Atkins was more than the interest. So the interest was being used plus some of the principal, which is totally fine with the wording on that particular trust. So it wasn't against the law or any rules or regulations. We're just concerned with, if you keep taking from the principal, sooner or later the principal's going to get so small that there ain't going to be much of a interest to take from.
Yes.
So Dennis sounds like he did some good work in figuring out a way to lower down the amount that was being taken out of that.
And also, there's the insurance part that we found, working with
on the building.
For that insurance.
Right.
The only question I don't know, and I don't know the answer to it yet, is the insurance for the bookkeeper. Now, whether that's under the town, I got to talk to Amy on Monday. Or let me know. Okay.
Yep.
So that will have to be figured in at some point. And there's other monies here that we can, that we could use from, so we don't have to, ask for more money later on in the budget.
I have 3 different balance, requests right now, but you're asking for 86,857
Yep.
based on this. So all this other stuff that's in this packet basically is ripped out.
Right.
Right. Some of it
With the
was,
exception of the detailed budget proposals, they have to be adjusted for refunds, rebates, other income, that all is gonna stay the same, right?
I believe so, because that I don't know.
that should stay the same, but some of that was put together by the previous person in that position. And then when she left and Dennis took over,
How come I got like 6 different pages of proposed employee steps? The director is making, right now you're proposing her or him. I don't need 2011, right? 2012. I don't understand why that's in there.
The original budget that was submitted, the payroll was all lumped together.
Right, yep.
When I broke it down, I rounded up so the 37 became 38. You know, so that's what I was doing.
Yeah, but you're proposing right now
Is what we
an
got-
increase in all the employees, right?
That's correct.
How much? What percentage is that?
Excuse me?
What percentage is that? Is it a 1, is it a 3%? What is?
there was a
Because it's 22
proposed,
right now, you're asking for, she's basically how I'm reading it is she at 22.34 now and you're asking for 23.45?
it was a proposed 3% increase. According to this paper here, dated 9/4.
I don't see where it adds up properly.
There's a page in the book, Teresa, that shows all the employees, the director, aide,
Yeah, I see that, I'm looking at that,
Page,
I'm looking at
custodian,
that, and that's
bookkeeper.
basically, you said a 3% increase,
Right.
right? But then if you look over at the payroll and go down and add up, he or she's making 37,174, the assistant director.
I took that off the, what Pauline originally submitted. That's where I came up with that number.
Yeah, but they just told me this is what you're breaking it down to. So it should add up at the bottom.
I see what you're talking about here, Teresa, now. Looking at it, comparing it to the paper you just gave us, the library director and the aide director, those 2 numbers, well, even the aide director, that number's off, or the assistant director, that number's off according to this other page by $500. The aide says 0 on this page, but on here,
Right now, that's an unfunded position. I'm leaving it there as a position, but right now it's unfunded because the aide is the assistant director.
I know, but if you have it in this section as her making money, him or her, and here you have it zeroed out.
oh, I see, it's 2 different job titles. The assistant director, on this page, it says assistant director. The other page doesn't have an assistant director. The aide is actually that line. That's why there's a difference there. Everything else seems to add up, though. The only one that is different is what's called assistant director here is at 16,088, and over here it's at 16,569 if we're rounding up. So that line's actually off by $500.
Do we want to rectify that?
Is it off, or is it just, I'm just looking at their table here and it's kind of flipped. 2021 is on the right-hand side and 21-22 is on the left-hand side.
Right, it's backwards.
So we're kind of, it's backwards. We're looking at it backwards. So what we're seeing is that 3% increase, but you gotta read it backwards.
Right, yeah, that's what I was doing. I was looking
Yeah.
down the lines that match up with the left-hand side, and the total,
Oh, I see. So the assistant
Requested.
director, you're saying actually the number that should be on the requested is 16,568.
right.
Yeah. Or in keeping with rounding, I guess 569, but
Yeah.
I like the,
8's an easy number to work with since the other one ends with 8. So that's a $480 increase.
the rest of them are accurate.
The other possibility to save is going to be the health insurance, but right now I got to talk to health insurance on Monday, to get that straightened out, but I had to use real numbers for that, so we can use the present numbers that we have.
Right.
And that reflects, so there will be a savings there, I don't know what it's going to be. Yeah, but I had to use what we used last year with it, but it's not going to be that.
So the health insurance could go up, could go down. We don't,
It's not going to go up. This is next year's rates.
it's not going up.
The rate that they're offering her now is the top rate of the policy.
Oh,
There's like 5 tiers, 1, 2, 3, you know, the best, and then going down, she has the best
okay.
right now, so it cannot
So
go up.
it can't go up. It's already as high as it could possibly be.
Right. So it'll be a savings there, so so if I want my $500 for the assistant director, be made up with the health insurance, the deduction of health insurance. So I'm happy with the numbers that I have.
Okay.
I'll avoid that, you know, whether we can do a mistake. But at the same time, knowing that we're gonna be paying less for insurance, you know.
Right. Right. The 480 that's missing from this line could be possibly made up from that line.
Be easily made up from the other because of the cost differences in the policies.
Okay.
When does your board meet again?
Excuse me?
When does your board meet?
Second Tuesday in December.
Second.
2 weeks.
Again,
The 8th.
Not even voted on this yet,
Yeah.
on this revised budget, so. And I don't see them, criticizing. Still, I think the places we could cut, make it a 0, but, but this is what the board originally had done with the adjustments that were made, for overages, the overstating some of the expenses.
Yeah, because I do remember because the select board just voted on this past week, and Dennis there's still a lot of numbers that he had to talk to people and have meetings with people on, the insurance being one of them. And so at that time, Dennis was confident in the number that we voted on, which was the 88,575. we voted on that, and we had also hoped that maybe, and obviously it couldn't happen, but we were hoping that maybe he could get all the actual true numbers before today for the budget committee. But obviously where their board doesn't even meet again, that's just not possible, so, I mean,
I just wonder if we should hold our vote until their boards had an opportunity to approve their budget.
Well,
I would like to, if nothing else, at least, it's the higher number, but I think if we were to stay with the 88,575 that the town voted on, so that we could at least have the town portion of the budget for warrant article finalized, and then if we have to change it again between now and then, we can. If we have to revisit anything, we still got time to revisit.
agreed.
But at least we have a number to
Well,
work with.
I'll accept a motion if you're gonna make one.
Are you also saying I should put the other 17, 18 back into the academic request? Maybe
No.
20,000?
No,
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we're all on the same.
no. No, I like what you've got here with the new one, but where your board still hasn't voted on it, I don't feel confident in voting on this. But your board did vote on this other paper that the select board voted on. So that's my reasoning there, is I feel confident voting with what they've already voted on. And if they vote to make changes, then we can revisit it.
Yeah, but you're gonna request the 88,000 instead
Right.
of you just asked for 86.
Dennis asked for 86, yes.
Right.
The Conant
Dennis is-
Library trustees have not asked for the 86
Right.
yet because they haven't voted on it.
Right. The information we have,
But your motion would be for the 88,
Right.
right,
because both boards have already voted on it.
correct.
Both boards have voted on it.
I don't know. I see what you're saying, but at the same token, I'm probably gonna abstain from the vote because I just don't feel comfortable with
Okay,
some of the stuff that's going on here.
so have you made a motion yet?
No, I haven't yet. I was just stating how I was feeling.
Teresa, what would you like me to do?
Have the board vote on it, bring it to us, period, end of story, and revisit and look at the line items, especially related to the increases in the, salaried personnel.
So his board did vote on a proposal, it was
I
88,575.
know that.
I'm just saying
I'm not
that,
getting the same information when I look through it as you guys are saying right now. So I
Right.
would like for it to.
Right, this
look at
budget,
it.
the budget that we voted on Wednesday is completely different than what was just handed to us today,
Yep.
so.
well, let's make a decision. We're gonna table this or we're gonna move forward? Somebody means,
You said you meet the second Tuesday, so that's December 8th. When's the school board
I
budget
believe
meeting?
December 8th, we've got a meeting with the school.
The
board.
1st and the
School
8th.
board.
The first and the 8th?
First and 8th, we're with the school board.
What time is your meeting, Dennis?
7 o'clock.
We're at 6.
Well, that ain't gonna fly.
We could still be going by the time they're done. But there's going to be another budget committee meeting
Oh, there's gonna be,
after that.
yeah,
We
there's,
have scheduled school board December 1st and 8th, right?
yes.
One of two things, either Dennis after his meeting on the 8th, and go to the school, you guys figure it out, or, like you said, we're gonna have multiple budget meetings after.
Right,
Okay.
right.
So those are your two options.
So Dennis, do you think you and your crew can get together on the 8th and then have you come and see me, or see us, excuse me, at the school afterwards?
Go to the school after.
Well, as of right now, the budget meetings for the school are probably gonna end up being here.
Okay, here then.
That was gonna be a discussion after all this, but I don't wanna tell somebody to come up to the school to see us if we're not gonna be there.
Fair enough.
I mean, you may make a motion right now for the 88 whatever, and somebody else would second it, and it would pass right now. I'm just relaying my concerns right now. I mean,
I think we should, I mean, I would support a motion to pay the 88,575 simply because that is what the trustees went through. It would clean up any errors that were made in the process of making this new budget that hasn't gone through, and at least it would have the benefit of, we'd get it cleared off the docket. And more importantly, if we made a mistake, we can also come back to it, so.
Yeah, I mean, there wouldn't be any mistakes made by us. We're just-
I hear that. That's my personal opinion is that I would support a motion.
Well, the more I think about it, I think either way, it's not really gonna matter at this point, 'cause no matter what, we know this number's gonna change, so let's just table it and wait for the final number.
All right, so I'll take a motion to table.
I'll make a motion to table it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The discussion is tabled for now. If you could try to reach out to us on the 8th, that would be great. We'll work on it at that time.
Maybe their board could have an
thank you,
emergency.
Dennis.
Thank you, Dennis.
All right,
Maybe their board could
do we
have
wanna
an
do
emergency budget.
Amy's, personal administration?
All right, personal administration sounds good to me.
What is it, personal, okay?
Personal administration, yeah. She's the only one here. Might as well keep rolling as much as we can.
Yeah.
Few-minute break?
Hey, now listen, where's the personal administration is in the package we got?
Let me flip back and I'll tell you the date on the one I have. Yeah, 10/6,
I don't
10/26.
have anything in mind.
10/26, is that what you said?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, I got it.
And then all of it looks like a bunch of the supporting documentation was dated 10/20, correct? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, none of that changed. I mean, there was,
I mean, we can wait, but I gotta make a motion to approve.
Yeah, I mean, it's a substantial different cut.
So, I mean, there's not a lot I would change there, obviously. I mean, I'm gonna make a motion to approve
The five.
$513,003.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion?
There was a significant decrease in health insurance
Yep.
because,
Yeah, we did away with. Yeah, we did away with the flex plan, but we did move, we created a new line for health reimbursement arrangement, because the new insurance plan has higher deductibles on major surgeries and MRIs and things. So we did, the new line with 10,000 in it to assist, employees with paying those higher deductibles only.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
All right, any further questions or discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? It passes.
Rick, you're just in time.
5:30.
Oh, wait, sorry. What?
Yeah, Rick's here, Dale Lane.
Oh.
Never mind. Sorry, Rick.
so close, Rick, so close.
So close.
Rick, I'm gonna blame that one on Carrie. All right, Dale.
All right, guys, highway.
So, okay. And we're looking at 10/8
Oh.
as the most recent.
Maybe. I gotta find mine. Half my little tab thingies fell out.
Yeah, I know mine did.
I know, and if they don't fall out, then you're being stabbed by.
Wait a minute.
I have 10/8 listed. Okay.
don't have the,
Yeah,
There,
10-8
found it.
is the most.
Yep, 10-8, that's what I got.
Although, Rick's stuff is in the new packet, so we'll need that.
do we have,
Rick's is gonna be very quick.
Yeah, I suspect so.
we're doing highway, right?
Yep,
Highway.
highway.
10-8,
I don't have 10-8.
if you want to just make a motion. You should.
Is it in the packet, Teresa?
I looked.
It wasn't
I
in
don't
the packet,
have
it was already in the
general fund,
Yeah.
sewer, water,
You're gonna need those next, so keep those separate.
I know, but
Yeah, all, the rest of the budget members had it, it was in their book
10-16.
already. What's the bottom line on the one you have?
I looked at it last week and I circled something here. 567,308.
No, it's 577,308.
I looked and I have nothing.
Oh yeah, because we added 10,000 to the equipment repair and maintenance. That's the $10,000 difference.
Dated 10-3.
The select board did, I should clarify.
10-12. I had a question too on this, so this one's, hang on. This one's a no-go.
Teresa, do you mind if I ask a few questions while you're waiting for your copy?
I have
And I don't, if
questions,
Chester, do you
but-
mind if I ask a few questions while she's
Go
waiting?
ahead, Lindsay.
So you're gonna be putting, I was here for the select board and you're starting to get some quotes for a new, the loader, correct? Yes. Okay. So that's gonna be a warrant article again. What's the backup plan? Because I know that you said that you spent a significant amount in repairing the current one. So if we don't, you know,
Well, we do have the capital reserve account that the highway department's the other one of them. Did we already vote on that or we did? Yeah. That's one that we've already discussed putting money into capital reserve. It'll be a warrant article.
how much did you put in that capital reserve?
I don't have that paperwork with me.
Thanks, Carrie. But that's also a warrant.
Right, that's gonna be a warrant article.
And your reasoning for that was for repair? Because from what I understand, that's nowhere near enough for an actual loader.
It's not enough for an actual loader. The intentions of the capital reserve are hopefully to be able to keep it saving up enough so that it will develop enough money over time to finally buy a piece of equipment out of it.
I misspoke. We tabled it because we wanted to see what the quotes were going to be
For the,
for a new one.
right, because we were wondering what the price was, lease price was gonna be. Right. It's $12,000 increase on the price of it.
Never goes down.
Nope.
Not going down. And that falls under equipment repair and maintenance, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And as I stated, the select board did put 10,000 more into that. That number was at 50. Yeah, that number was at 50,000 to begin with.
It was 40, I increased it to 50, and then they increased it to,
To 60,000. Because no matter what, at the end of the day, if the warrant article fails again, and we still have the old loader, we still gotta put $10,000 worth of work into it, so gotta make sure the money's there to pay for the work.
Right, but the $10,000 worth of work has to happen now, correct? Right, so in this current year, you're going to need $10,000 for the brakes.
I'm gonna stretch as far as I can get it. I don't wanna do it, you know, if this warrant's gonna pass, and we don't know that till March. You know, we just being extremely extra cautious with it, running and knowing that the brakes are a little soft. You know, I don't wanna spend that money if we're gonna trade it in.
If the warrant doesn't pass, what additional work would need to be done to the loader? Yeah.
And we have a grader that has about $20,000 repair needs on that.
That comes under the same line?
Yep.
So right now, that line's not sufficient to do, the proposed budget is not sufficient to do the repairs that would be needed if the warrant fails.
Well, the 60,000 would cover the 30,000 needed for the two pieces of equipment, the repairs known right now.
You got a 25-year-old grader, 22-year-old loader, 20-year-old truck. For 1 ton, 550s are.
Yeah.
Do you have any kind of, we've talked about this at the school level a number of times. I've talked about it here at Budget Committee, and I've talked about it at Select Board. Do you have a plan for replacing and phasing out equipment so that when the Select Board is looking at what might be needed for capital reserve and when you're building your budget, you know next year we're going to need a truck, 2 years from then we're going to need a grader, 4 years from now we're going to need another truck?
We have done that years back. It's been a while since we've done that. It's been a long time. We actually did a plan, right?
Right, and
Capital improvement plan.
right. And right now, we're at the same point we are with the police department now we're 2 years in a row trying to replace the same piece of equipment that's the oldest and needs the most work. And adding money to a capital reserve account to try and build up a fund to purchase something and hope that a warrant article passes at the same time. And unfortunately, that's all we can do. We can't just budget for a new loader and just throw it in there.
But if it's, and I'm not saying budget for the loader and put it in your line, but if you, as the leader of the town, recognize a need, then isn't it your due diligence to provide the plan that meets those needs?
Yeah, we need to buy a new loader. I provided that last year and this year. But back to the maintenance line item, which is what we were discussing. The 60,000 should be enough to cover the expenses, even if the warrant article fails. That's why we added, like Dale said, he added 10,000 to it, and then the select board added another 10, just so we knew we were comfortable having to make both big repairs if the warrant article fails.
On your personnel, is that a 3% increase in salaries? Okay, why is the foreman for actual got 47,000, it's only 40 this year? Did you not fill the position or something? The foreman position, you have it at actual, this year's budget for the foreman at 47,100, and your request next year is gonna be for 40,972, it's almost $7,000 decrease. I can't hear you.
She said the foreman line is gonna have to be an increase. She's figuring out the price rate, the total right now.
So that's an increase?
That was at the old foreman was retired.
It's not. The 47 was based on the old foreman, he had left the position, he filled the position. The 40,976 is just an employee. The board has just approved. I guess I can say it. Well, the employee doesn't know that. The foreman position is going to be filled. So we're going to have to increase that.
As of just recently.
Okay, but you gotta tell me how much you're gonna increase it.
Right, 'cause that changes
That's what she's doing the math on right
Just have a
now.
motion on the floor right now, don't we?
No.
There is
No,
no
there's
motion
not yet.
yet on the floor.
So this 577 is gonna be increased now if she figures out what the foreman's actually gonna get, not lower money.
Correct.
We're going up.
What is it? Okay, so that line item is gonna go to 46,176, which is an increase. Can you subtract 46,176 from 40,974?
6.
Because that's gonna tell us what our increase is gonna be on that line, right?
Right.
I get 582,508.
582 what?
582,508
Yeah, but
Oh,
what
for a
that's-
total.
for a total.
For a total. What is
Yeah.
it?
5,200. 5,200.
Okay,
Sorry, I did all the math at once. Sorry about that.
okay, so that's, that line item is gonna be 46,176. And then it would increase the bottom line to 582,508.
Yep.
Okay, I just have a couple of quick questions and just comments, because I probably know the answer to this. But your gravel and sand and your, liquid chloride, you're increasing that in anticipation for a storm. You'd rather have more than less, right? You don't wanna run out in the middle of the winter, right?
The gravel and sand, we do, it says 19,500. We're doing $19,500 right now for sand and gravel. Winter sand and gravel for the summer, and then we do, 500 ton of hard pack for the hills on the dirt roads.
Yep.
And that figures out to the 27,875.
Yeah, you're just doing the increase of 27,875 in that line on, you're doing an increase in maintenance repair, which I think you already explained. And then you got, the liquid, chloride at 14,000 now, you're adding 18,000 because, are you just trying to anticipate, like, you don't wanna run out? Oh, it went up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything's going up.
Except for gas, right? Well, you have gas basically the same as you did last year. That's all I got.
Okay.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the highway budget of 582,505, 508, sorry.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, all opposed? Okay, it passes.
Ben and Dale, I just have a suggestion for deliberative, because you're coming into the second year requesting the same equipment, that perhaps you'd like to put together for the public some form of capital plan that shows the needs of the town for this equipment over the years, so that the public understands for every year you push out one of these pieces of equipment, we're going to get to a point where 5 of them might fail at once. I think that especially with a dollar amount like the loader, the public really needs to know that for every year we're not replacing it, we're adding to the expense of repairing it and we're adding to the potential that in 4 years, you might need a warrant for a loader and a grader and a dump.
No, you did. We all did.
No, I'm gonna say, adding $15,000 to the capital reserve, didn't do us any good, the water went up 16,000, so we didn't have no headway.
Right. Well, we did and we didn't. I mean, by the warrant article failing, we definitely lost headway, but the capital reserve built another 15,000, and every year, if it keeps going up, eventually, even if a warrant article does pass to buy a piece of equipment and there's money being put into the capital reserve, then eventually there'll be enough there that we won't have to go to the town with the warrant article when a dump truck breaks down, and we'll have enough in the capital reserve to purchase it. Right. Right. The only way to. Right. Right.
Well, and the general public doesn't necessarily understand, or not, it is that they understand, they don't necessarily know the age of our equipment and how long it lasts, and, you know.
We talked about it pretty in depth last year. Yeah.
The loader specifically.
Right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dale.
Thank you, Dale.
Thank you.
Now Rick's up.
Yep, now for the man of the hour.
And we already did personal admin insurance, correct?
Yep.
Did we do that one? Okay, perfect.
And the water and sewer was in the packet.
We'll start with water.
Dated
Water.
10/20/20.
Yes.
10/20/20, yeah.
Yep.
Cheap for you, cheap for them.
Yep.
Are there 3 different, or do I just have a duplicate of something?
There should only be 2 different ones.
Sewer and water. I think I just have a double of the water.
Yeah. About a $296 decrease.
And water?
Are we looking at water first?
Sorry. I'm looking the wrong way.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Increase.
This one's an increase.
Increase of 290, well, yeah, $296. And then the sewer was actually a decrease of a couple thousand, few thousand, quite a few thousand.
Yeah.
Over 10. If I'm looking at the correct 375,554 as the
Yep.
new number?
Yep.
I'm seeing 3099
For sewer?
for water.
Oh, for water? Yeah, 3099 for water.
Yeah.
I was only looking at them both because when this came to the select board, we peeked at both of them, saw the very minimal increase in water and a pretty good sized decrease in sewer, and we approved them both together. That's the reason why I was just looking at them both together, but
Well, if you want to make a motion to do so, you certainly would accept a motion.
just giving people time to read
Yeah.
because it was in the mailbox, so not everybody got a chance to read this yet.
I was at the select board meeting when you approved it, so.
How come this one is a 2% increase on the town employees that work in every other department? It's a 3%.
It was a choice. If I recall, they had.
That I don't know.
I'd like to know
No.
why certain
No.
employees are getting 3% and
No, I
2%.
think
guess I'm
that's-
asking the selectmen.
No, I think that's going to be an error.
There's a 2% increase in the water and sewer, because the board had made a motion to do up to a 2% merit increase. In all the other departments, their budget is what they're making now. In personal administration, that's where you see the employee merit increase, that's where the 2% is held. So 2% based on everybody across the board, up to.
Up to 2%?
Up to 2% merit increase, yes. They did not even know it was in there.
So why would the water sewer department get a 1% COLA increase like everybody else?
This year that we're in, everybody got a 1% COLA up to a 3% merit. This budget that we're budgeting for 2022, the board decided to do up to a 2% merit. So that's what we're budgeting for.
Right. The only,
Water and sewer is separate, so that's why it shows in their budget versus all the other budget lines. The other ones all are into the personal administration under the employee merit increase.
right. All the employees were budgeted for the same possible increase for next year.
How is that? If it says right here on their thing, it says 2% here, and on the other ones, they're 3%.
No, the other ones were only 2 also.
No, I asked a specific question, and I said, does this include a 3% increase to Dale, who just left? And he said yes. And that's why we had to change that line item for the forum.
I didn't really say the deal. I asked Dennis, who's the library, is that enough to a 3% increase?
Right.
Yeah, and I asked Dale the same question.
You did.
I didn't hear that part. The only part I heard, the discussion I heard was the foreman line.
Which was 2 separate issues. It wasn't,
There's 2 issues. I just asked Dale, and if Kevin has the minutes, I asked Dale, does this include a 3% increase because on the forum line, it's a decrease, you only have 40,000, and that's when everybody said, oh, let's add the 3%.
no, it wasn't adding the 3%. The math that Amy did is because as we stated, as of recently, well, up till recently, there hasn't been a foreman. So the last year's figure that was in there
Right.
was from the old foreman. That was what he used to make before he retired.
But if you look back then, right
And-
now, if you look back on the highway department and figure out the personnel, and I asked him the specific question, and he said yes, and if you look at what is actual and what is asked for right now, for next year, it's a 3% increase. It's not a 2%.
Teresa, you did ask if this meant 3%, because I did make a note of that. However, last year's actual, this year's budget, and next year requested. So last year actual shows that increase of, I think it was 3% for last year,
Yeah.
which shows in this year's budget. And then next year requested is the same number as last year's budget. So I think what Dale meant was, yes, there was a percentage increase, but it's not on this line. It's in the personal administration under employee merit COLA increase.
In that
Correct.
budget.
Yes.
Correct.
Now, the only reason why I'm asking the question or bringing up the issue is I want to make sure that if everybody else is getting the same amount, the
Yeah.
sewer and water should be getting the same amount.
No, they are. All the employees are budgeted for the same amount.
Okay, that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
And I'd like it noted that every employee is getting the same amount,
Yes. Well, it's a merit raise.
up to.
Up to the same amount, yeah.
Up to 3%?
Based on the review,
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
based on the review and based on what the board wants to give them, if COLA would have been everybody across the board doing the same, a merit is up to $7.
I just want to be able to explain it to people. When they ask me about this budget and employees getting a raise, they're not getting a raise. They could get anywhere from 0 to 3% of a merit increase.
2%.
2%, okay.
2%, yep.
That's what I wanted.
Yep.
Very good.
Because I'm hearing from Dale, 3%.
Yeah. He might have misheard the 3.
And that's fine. I just want to clarify. it.
Right.
So
In a world with masks, we can all mishear things easily.
I want to clarify that. Thank you.
Ben, do you have any motions you want to make?
I'll make a motion to approve the water budget at $309,900.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Sewer.
And I will make a motion to approve the sewer budget at $375,544.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? All right, that passes.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Rick.
Talked us right into that one, too.
I just wanted to give a quick shout out.
He
He was just
Okay.
watching me argue. He was like, he's gonna get more money from me.
Rick, I just wanted to say thank you. As a Richmond
Thank
Road
you.
resident, I have seen a wonderful improvement in my water. Specifically, we were having this terrible problem with if multiple places in our house was calling for water, we'd get the squeak, you know, and it's been resolved, and that was really nice. Yeah. And it was really efficient, and I work from home, and I listened to it the whole, you know, when you were doing it, and, you know, it went really quickly, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, and for the record, for your instance, what they had done is they increased the service size to your house, so that would make a difference.
Oh, it made a good one.
Yeah.
That's nice to hear.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you,
All
Rick.
right, before we adjourn, yeah, I know, I was gonna say, oh, sorry, I didn't see that on my list, my bad. Off to insurance. Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve the insurance at $70,222.
Second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any-
70,222.
Okay. And I believe that's it on this side of business.
That's all of them now, right, girls? Okay.
All right, so next thing, apparently, we're gonna have a change of venue for December 1st and 8th. Ben, do you wanna go into that, or actually?
Well, nobody's really discussed it yet in full. I know the school board mentioned it at their school board meeting, but where the school is now closed to the public completely, we can't go there to meet. And the town hall's closed to the public during business hours. However, we're still allowing meetings to happen. So it seems like that's really the only venue we have.
Okay. Well, I have no objection to that.
So we'll just have the school budget meetings here at the town hall.
6 o'clock?
6 o'clock, yep, that's what we have.
6 o'clock on the 1st and the 8th.
And I do have the budget books.
Perfect.
So you can go ahead and take your book. The school board did vote to approve the budget on Thursday. There'll be a couple of pieces that will be added on the 1st and the 8th as more information comes to
Makes
us. But ultimately, you know, everything should be in there. I would also, if you're looking for any of the history of any of the budget conversation, you can certainly look online at the Winchester School District web page. Listed under documents are all of the budget documents that we've reviewed, including the capital plan, but that's in there as well.
Are the numbers there reflected on the website that was up a week ago?
No, because this would have been just what was voted on Thursday.
Perfect.
So typically it takes
That makes sense.
a couple of days so that updated budget won't be there until probably Monday or Tuesday.
Gotcha. Because
So-
I did review that, but.
So not much of a change. Actually, you know what, Chester? There was no change from the November 5th to the 18th. So it was approved. It might be current, but now it's approved. And then I would just remind the budget committee that our business manager is leaving. Her last day with us will be on December 10th. She will be with us for the 1st and the 8th. But I would encourage you that if you have any significant budget questions, that you be as prepared as possible with those on the 1st and the 8th, because, you know, our availability to instantly answer those questions is going to diminish.
Understood. All right. Unless there's anything else that needs to be brought up, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Perfect. Thank you, everybody.